Hi, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar, Introduction to Portfolio Management with Atlassian. My name is Brian Darr. I am a solutions architect, safe program consultant, and an Atlassian certified expert with Expium. And today I'm going to walk you through various portfolio management options for the Atlassian ecosystem. Specifically, I'm going to talk a lot about Jira Align and advanced roadmaps, which are Atlassian's in-house solutions to this problem. I'm also going to cover briefly some of the other options available to you, but mostly we're going to focus on those two, just to stay within the Atlassian ecosystem. And then at the end, there's going to be time for question and answer as well. Although I will probably be eyeing the Q&A panel as well. All right, so why do we need portfolio management in our Atlassian tools? Well, I guess it helps to back up for a minute and think about the way that people use Jira. Jira is a team level tracking tool. So everybody has their tasks and their stories and their bugs and their documentation, tasks all in Jira. At some point, we need the scalability to steer the ship from the top and look down and see all the work that everyone's doing. And Jira is really good at this effortless reporting. You know, anybody can log in and see where we are, but regular Jira software doesn't scale above the Jira Epic level or above that safe program level. And so we need some solution above that to tie in things like strategic themes and initiatives or safe epics, you know, where the budgeting happens, and tie that all the way down to the work that the teams are doing. So once we implement some portfolio management solution, the benefits that we're working towards are alignment of work to enterprise strategy. We want to visualize capacity versus demand. All of these tools help with that. We want to get clear dependency management so that we stay on track and so we can deliver on time, or at least course correct if we see problems. We want to get predictable and prioritized delivery of value. So we want our roll-up objects such as epics and safe portfolio epics or initiatives. We want those centrally managed and prioritized, and also prioritized around value. We want to get stakeholder and team visibility. We want to have all this result in fewer fire drills, and finally we want to mitigate risk, particularly through that dependency management and visibility that we're going to get at a program and at a portfolio level in Jira. So again, the two tools that I'm going to talk about today specifically are Jira Align and Advanced Roadmaps, as well as a couple others. Jira Align is its own independent product that connects to Jira, whereas Advanced Roadmaps, which is formerly known as Portfolio for Jira, that one comes included with Jira now, specifically Jira Data Center. And if you're on cloud, it comes with the premium and the enterprise tier. This could be confused with just regular roadmaps, which is also a feature available in all Jira Cloud products. Roadmaps, as opposed to advanced roadmaps, are a single project solution. You can look at all the work in one project, but you can't look across projects. And there's some other limitations too that advanced roadmaps does not have. All right, so some other solutions, I want to talk about them briefly for a moment. Specifically Structure, Big Picture, and WBS Gantt chart for Jira. These are other major competitors within the add-on marketplace for these portfolio solutions. I'm not going to talk too much about them today, but if you do need a demo or if you want to talk more in depth, my contact info is going to be at the end of this presentation. So you're more than welcome to reach out and we can discuss this further. But basically, Structure provides sort of a file tree hierarchy of issues. And if you get the Structure Gantt plugin as well, so it's two plugins that come together, you can also view everything in a Gantt-like view as well. Now, a lot of what Structure and Big Picture and WBS Gantt chart do is also already available, I think, in Advanced Roadmaps. It's not quite a Gantt chart, but in Advanced Roadmaps, but for most people, Advanced Roadmaps is more than enough. Big Picture is also kind of a Swiss Army knife multi-tool solution for portfolio management. It not only includes the same stuff that Structure does, well, some of the similar items such as that file tree breakdown and that Gantt chart view, but it also has additional things such as a program board and it has individual capacity management if you want to get that deep and granular. There's also WBS Gantt chart for Jira. That's one that a couple of our clients use as well. People seem to like that a lot. And lastly, I want to talk about Microsoft. A lot of people still use Microsoft Project for waterfall project management while they're using Jira to track the work. We have built integrations with Microsoft Project, and there are also integrations out there in the marketplace where you can tie project work items to Jira work items for that automated update. So if you are in that world and you need help, connecting that to the more agile world of Jira and Atlassian, let us know. All right, let's talk about Jira Align. So like I said before, Jira Align is a separate product from Jira, and it is a framework for specifically scaled agile companies. It is heavily driven towards the SAFe framework, although it does support other framework models, such as Spotify or Less or Scrum at Scale, that kind of stuff. However, the actual structure, they're still working on making it more flexible, but it's a pretty rigid structure, which I think most people want because they need that top-down command and control. It is for large scaled enterprises. And what it does is it connects the C-suite strategy all the way down to the team members' work. And it is a full application in and of itself. It actually originally started as a full stack team to CEO product. And if you get in and use it, you still see a lot of that team layer still in there. But its actual intent for use now is it connects to Jira, and Jira handles all of the team layer stuff. Jira handles stories and epics, and then over in Jira Align, it starts with the epics and then moves up the stack to portfolio epics or initiatives and strategic themes. It also has OKRs, objectives, dependencies, and everything over in that tool. So basically, the team stays in Jira and the management stays in Jira Align, and just the product owners and the Scrum Masters swivel chair between the two tools. That's its intended use right now. There is a set of 3 hierarchies that I'm going to show in a minute that really helps the tool. This is a visual that helps demonstrate also about how that connection works. So I've got the team down here in Jira. I've got this bidirectional synchronization, and then up here I've got Jira Align, which is handling my portfolio strategy, my scaled development, and my product management. And from the program layer, optional solution layer, portfolio layer, and enterprise layer are all over here in Jira Align. There are 3 hierarchies in Jira Align, which may sound confusing at first, but it's a really great idea. I think a lot of people don't actually think about work in this way. The first hierarchy is the people hierarchy, so the teams and the humans that are getting work done. And Jira Align handles that with a team level construct, a program level construct, a portfolio and solution level team construct, and then the enterprise team. There's also the work hierarchy. This is the one that most people think about. Excuse me. Work is subtasks, tasks, Jira epics / SAFe features, SAFe epics / initiatives, strategic themes, and then full-on strategy items for multiple year strategies, long-term goals, that kind of thing. So that's the work breakdown that most people think of when they think of the tool. There's also a time hierarchy as well. We've got our sprints or our iterations. We then have quarters or program increments, and then those all roll up into a strategic snapshot. And so I can have a snapshot for this year and next year, and then I can have a different strategy for the years going after that. So time items roll up as well. Lastly, there's this tangential business vector thing going on where we can associate budget to various items here. We can associate domains, we can associate value streams and or specific workflows. We can associate objectives and then tie key results to those and have all of that tied to specific work items. And we can also associate products with these various work items as well. So we can do product management as well in the tool. So the key features of Jira Align, the reason that most people buy these features, one is it has really good dependency management. We're going to see that in a live demo in a moment, but basically dependencies in Jira Align are an actual work item that has its own short workflow. So So there's a dependency gets created, the receiving team receives that dependency, they commit to that dependency, and they then deliver on that dependency. And there's a dashboard and notifications set up to show you where you are in that dependency conversation. So unlike Jira, where it's just a link that says blocked, there's a whole communication that happens around dependencies within Jira Align, which is exactly how it should happen in real life. The next and probably biggest feature of Jira Align is the program board, which gives you a train level, release train level, or program level, or Scrum of Scrums level view of everything that we're delivering within this quarter or this program increment. And it's a fantastic report. It shows you everything. It shows dependencies, it shows objectives, it shows status of various Jira epics / safe features that we're trying to deliver on, and you can get a bird's eye view immediately and know, am I green, yellow, or red? There's also roadmap functionality within Jira Align. Within a given portfolio structure, you can roadmap out all of your work along with product roadmaps. There's a strategy room that sits up at the enterprise level that allows you to define mission, vision, values, objectives, and then short and long-term strategy up to which all of the work is going to roll. And then there's also the program room, which is sort of a delivery hub for a given release train or program. The program room works in tandem with the program board to help you understand where you are, where you're delivering, and what your objectives are, what your runway is, that kind of stuff. And lastly, one of the newer features that came out is objectives and key results. So like I said before, you can tie objectives to any number of work items, multiple work items. So you can have, you know, a many-to-one relationship there. And you can then tie key results to that as well if you're following OKRs. New things that they did kind of recently, like I said, OKRs, they not too long ago did a Trello integration. There is a new and improved Jira connector. If you ever used the old one, it was pretty frustrating. They are making improvements on that. There is a new AI functionality in the background. There is a retooled strategy room. And what's coming soon, and I can't wait for this, is they're going to Atlassianify the user interface coming up. So it's going to be much more familiar to people that are used to looking at Jira and Confluence and Bitbucket. It's going to be a much more similar UI. I think they're going to really clean things up. It's going to be much easier to navigate. So I'm very much looking forward to that as well. All right, how do we implement Jira Align? That's an important question. Typically, after you figure out that this is the right tool for your enterprise, you do a jumpstart. A jumpstart usually takes about 3 months. It works for one program or agile release train, and you go through planning, discovery, configuration, training, and then there's a handoff into PI planning at the end of that. So this is a long runway. For most budgeting, this takes at least half a year to get approved. So you start 6 months to a year out. You start planning it 6 months ahead of your launch date. And you really do need all that time. We find that the larger the enterprise, the slower the purchasing process, the slower the implementation. It just kind of happens that way. But basically, you launch a program at a time. You get one program into the tool, you then get the next program, So when you're adding programs, you do expand programs. You've already built the capacity in your company to get those programs in there, so you can really move along much more quickly after the first one is in the tool. Also because the initial configuration takes quite a while. There's just a lot to configure. There's also a lot, people don't often think about this, there's a lot to adjust in Jira as well. This is not just a reporting add-on that gets slapped on top of Jira. Jira has to be configured in such a way that is consumable by Jira Align. These are all best practices and worth doing anyway, but once you add Jira Align, you have to do those things. Lastly, people typically, once they have multiple programs in there, they want to expand up to that portfolio level, and they want to do things like lean budgeting and workflow management around their initiatives. So at some point, typically you do an expanded portfolio engagement. All of this is doable with partners like us. We at XBM are a Platinum Solution partner, and we do these very frequently, and they're actually a lot of fun. All right, so let's dive into the product itself and see why you might want to switch to Jira Align. here. There we go. All right. So here I am in the landing screen. I'm just going to refresh because sometimes it signs me out. All right. Let me walk around navigation first. Along the left side here, just increase that too so you can see it better. I've got this hierarchy navigation bar to the left. I've got the Jira Align home button. I've got my profile information. I've got a search where I can search among all of the features of Jira Align. And then I've got favorited places in the tool. And then I start here at the enterprise layer. Below the enterprise layer is the portfolio layer, then the optional solution layer. And you really only need that layer if you're a giant company. And each of these layers contains all of the tools for that layer, such as planning rooms and backlogs and reporting and all of the work objects that live at that layer. Below the solution layer, I've got the program layer. And below that, I have that original team layer. And again, most of your people are going to be living in Jira, so they won't be using this team layer. There's also a product, not a layer, but a product view, a product-centric slice of Jira Align. Products are effectively really complex labels added to safe features or Jira epics. And then you can get a whole product-centric view of those features as they're delivered. Roadmaps and management and backlog, grooming, that kind of stuff. Down here, I've got custom rooms, then I have reports, and then I've got administrative settings at the bottom. Along the top, I've got this thing that's called the context bar. And here I can select which portfolio, and then within that portfolio, which programs, and then within those programs, which teams of work I want to see. And this context bar affects everything I see below the bar. So if I'm looking at a backlog, the backlog is contextually limited by this context bar here. I can also dive in further. Oh, also here on the right side, you can see that I can see the same hierarchy just broken down into a hierarchical tree here instead if I want. Next, I can also choose which of the time hierarchies I want to focus on. So I don't want to see everything in my program since the beginning of time. I just want to see the stuff in this current program increment or this quarter. So I can choose which ones I want to see here. I can find past increments. I can just look at the forward ones. I can choose all or some. And I can also add further configurations such as limiting down by product or specific releases or specific organizational structures. And I can also save all of these as well per user as a shortcut to see the stuff that my user cares about. Let's hop into the strategy layer up at the enterprise. There is the first stop we'll make is to the strategy room. And I have to choose a strategic snapshot because strategy is always changing. So I'm going to choose the strategy for 2021. And then in this room, I can see our mission, vision, values. And I can see the whole strategy pyramid here. So I've got mission, vision, values at the top, and then I have a couple layers of corporate strategy. These layers are optional except for the bottom one. And I can choose how to break down strategy here. At the bottom, in the darker blue, we see the actual work that's being done by teams. So I've got features, epics, and strategic themes. And then I have the associated goals with those items. So I've got program objectives, portfolio objectives, and my strategic goals. Up here in the top right, I see a brief review of execution against outcomes. I can see percentage of portfolio objectives to epics and program objectives to features and their completion rate. I can see the work completion rate here. So I've got themes, epics, and features for this particular strategic snapshot. And what's getting done here. Down below, I've got an OKR heat map. Clearly, this company is doing very poorly at their key results, but here it is. And then down here, I've got an OKR tree where everything breaks down from yearly goals into quarterly goals and then further down into strategy from there. I can also, at the enterprise layer, hit the strategic backlog. And here again, I choose which time box I want to use. And then from here, I can see all of the strategic items and the work items relating to this particular strategic snapshot. So I can see my strategic themes, I can see my goals, and then I can prioritize these, and I can, edit them and check out their budgets and their states and the number of children among them, that sort of stuff. So that's up at the enterprise layer. I'm going to go down one into the portfolio layer. This is where budgeting happens. And I'm going to start first at the portfolio backlog. So here I've got all of my epics for this particular program increment in the digital services portfolio. These are safe epics, by the way. Some companies know them as features. It's the layer above a Jira epic. And so I've got all of this. I can break these epics down into safe features or Jira epics underneath. And I can pull out any one of these, and I can view all of the information associated with a particular safe epic. And there is a lot of information here. A lot of these tabs can be turned off if this is too much information. I think for a lot of people it is when they first start in the tool. But here I've got all of the details. I've got the primary program delivering, additional programs delivering. I've got the type of epic. I've got whether or not it's an MVP. I've got all of the execution roll-up. And then I have specific estimations per program increment. I've got WSGIF for those. I've got t-shirt sizing for those. And then I've got more details about milestones for this. What's the portfolio ask? When did we start? What's the target completion? And then the breakdown of features, associated risks, associated dependencies. And that's on tab 1. I also have a lot of design criteria. I've got an intake form for it because, again, we're doing a lot of ideation at this layer. I've got a benefits analysis right here. I've got a value engineering and high-level ROI calculations. I've got time and skills required if I want to break that down. I've got the finance. I've got the oh, and by the way, finance splitting out into CapEx, OpEx, and all of this feeds into various reporting within the tool as well. It's also a forecast module where I can forecast for a given program increment. And I can talk about, which teams are gonna contribute to this and how many team weeks. This is huge. This is so much information. Obviously, when we help people roll this out, we help them understand this, but don't be overwhelmed. I think this is eventually all the kinds of information people want in order to be choosing the right safe epics to, scaled agile framework epics to be working on. And then since we have large budgets associated with this, I think that the whole business case aspect around this is obviously a very important piece. All right, another piece of this layer to show you is the portfolio room. There's 3 tabs on here. The first is the financials tab. This is where all of that budget, forecasted spend, estimated spend, that's where all of this is rolling together into these various epics broken down into features. I've got budget variances here. I've got a lot of information going on here. I also have a resources tab where I can look and see PI load for each program. Again, I can see the work breakdown and the progress towards that. I can see the estimated effort distribution for all the work for this given context. And then I've got my execution room as well, where I can see scope change, acceptance rates, again, a breakdown of the work. I can see which of these is being executed against. So again, lots of information here in the strategy room. And the rooms at all the layers are places where the relative teams get together to monitor progress. All right, now let's go to my favorite layer, which is the program layer. I think this is where the tool shines the most. The first place, and I think the shiniest feature, is the program board. So this is a digital representation of what we all used to do at in-person big room planning for our quarterly delivery. So we've got all of these cards represent features in the program, and I've got sprints or iterations as columns, and then as rows, I've got the teams executing against this stuff. And so here, there's actually a couple different views. Let me change to, let's go with the small view. I like this view more. This is what gives me a bird's eye view of, are we okay? And so up here, I've got objectives, and when those objectives are supposed to be achieved, so they're landing in each given sprint. You can see here that when I highlight this objective, two features highlight in my view as well. These this objective relates to those features. I guess it's actually one feature being delivered by two different teams. I've got a whole map here telling me where we are, and basically, as things move closer to green along the color spectrum, they're more okay. And as they move closer to red, they're less okay. So I can see if I've got orphans that aren't tying up to any particular strategy. I can see scheduling issues, applicable risks that have not been mitigated or owned or accepted. I've got in progress, I've got done, and then I've got that check mark that's telling me done and accepted. Also accepted with planning issues. These items here are dependencies. Sorry, I clicked on that too fast. These little guys here are dependencies. And as I hit a dependency, you can see related dependencies. And also, this is kind of a bad data set, but you'll also see related features to those dependencies. Yeah, there we go. So like you can see that 3908 feature has a, so this is the Bush team, and it has a dependency on the Angry Birds team in the same sprint. So hopefully the Angry Birds team is getting this done at the beginning of the sprint so that my Bush team can deliver at the end of the sprint. But again, I'm seeing at a bird's eye view, are we okay? And for the most part, we were okay up until this current sprint. Things aren't going so well now. I love this view. It's really fantastic. I can also click into any of these features and get a quick view of that feature and all of its information. I can also zoom out and see the full feature view as well, which much like the Epic view that I saw earlier has a number of important pieces of information around it, including feature type, minimum marketable feature, is it blocked, what's the priority, who's the feature owner, what's its parent, when is it being delivered, what's its WSGIF score, what's its t-shirt size, that kind of stuff. In addition to the program board, I also have the program room. The program room is really a place for all of your RTEs and your product managers to get together to see where we are. Oops. Come on, load. There we go. All right. So in this room, I've got a program increment planning checklist that I can go through to make sure that we're ready. I've got my sprints and my runway to make sure there's enough work. I've got all the features being delivered in this program increment broken down. And then I also have misaligned stories here at the bottom, which is great. So I can see if there's a problem, if there's things falling through the cracks. Over on the right, I've got all these little gadgets on this sort of dashboard view. I've got progress. I've got actions that need to be taken. I've got team-to-team dependencies within my program. I've got program impediments. I've got program objectives. And all this is rearrangeable, by the way. I've got load. I've got all of the risks for my program. I've got the release vehicles / fixed versions that are being done. And I've got the team load and team progress down here. So again, this is a perfect dashboard for program delivery, and my RTEs can come in and make sure that we're really tracking right on this. Also at this layer is a roadmap feature. So here I have a live roadmap as soon as it loads. And I can view this roadmap in different ways. Right now, I'm looking at feature by epic. So I've got epics then broken down into features here. I can see stories delivered over time. I can see milestones here with these purple stars. This is when the portfolio wanted to get it done. I'm sorry, this is when we were going to pivot or persevere, and this is when we want to do a retro. And then I can see, if you look on this feature here, you can see the shading difference. So that's progress against the feature. I am 79% complete. Looks like I'm tracking pretty well. But if I thought that I wasn't tracking well, I could right click and I could change the color to say this one is now at risk. I'm going to say on track because it sure looks like it. I can also export snapshots of this as well from this view. And I can also view this view in sprints and program increments, or for some audiences, I can also change it to a calendar view instead. So which month and which quarter am I going to deliver in instead? Also at the program layer, I've got the program backlog. This is where I can see all of the features that we're working on. I can re-rank these features. I can see those features broken down into stories. I can look at level of effort. I can also look at different views of this backlog as well. I can do a rapid estimation function if I want. So I can rapidly do WSJF scores and t-shirt sizing and a minimum marketable feature. There's also a load view that I can switch to. So let's switch to this value stream view here as well. So here I see a Kanban view of all of these features, just in a different way. I can also head to a column view, which I also like. The column view gives me this option for estimated versus actual. So let me select a program. Let's go with AI and PI5. So here I see that I've got 75% of my feature points loaded for this particular PI. And if I switch to my actual, I can see that according to my developers and the stories they've associated, we are 245% loaded. So that's a problem. So I can look at this differential and have a conversation with my teams. All right, lastly, I want to show you, not lastly, but I also want to show you right now dependencies. I mentioned those before, and how dependencies are a conversation. I always forget where to find these. I always find them in a different way. There they are. So here I've got a list of all my dependencies for this program and this program increment. And if I click on one of these, you can see all of the information around this dependency. So this is the workflow. It's not committed, it's committed on by the other team, it's done by the other team. We can see who is requesting it, who does it depend on, when do we need the work done by, when is it committed by. So if those are different, that's obviously a problem. We've got the associated stories with it as well. And then this also sort of functions as a dashboard. My team has a new dependency, or I guess this program has a new dependency, and we need to accept or decline that dependency, associate stories with it, and then deliver on it. All right, a brief stop in reports. So Jira Align has, I guess, hundreds of reports out of the box. So many. I don't have time to go into any of them. But I will say this, that despite all of the reports that are available here, many of our clients still use an external BI tool to get that really specific view. Typically, this is because you wind up having different department managers that want a view of their world and their delivery. And it is not best practice to set up Jira Align by departments. You really want to set it up by functional portfolios and programs. Setting up by departments will actually cause problems later on. But obviously, those department heads, SVPs, VPs, they really want to see a view of their world. So you will probably still need an external reporting tool. There is a data lake package add-on for Jira Align, and there's lots of connections then available to connect that to your BI tool of choice. Lastly, I want to stop just briefly in the administrative section and talk about the platform terminology. You can see there's a whole bunch of settings here, but specifically this platform terminology one. So I've been saying epics and features, and all of that may not line up to your world, and that's totally fine. Here I can pick any item in the tool, and I can rename it singular, plural, add description, and you can see there is a lot of things we can name in this tool. So just something to keep in mind, it's highly, highly flexible. All right, that's the end of my walkthrough of Jira Align. Let's get back to the presentation and move on. Before before I talk about advanced roadmaps, for just a moment, I want to talk about XBM as a company. We are a platinum solution partner with Atlassian. Atlassian makes the products. We deliver services around those products. Specifically, the services that we specialize in are training, kind of like these free webinars right now. We also do paid classes as well. I'll have some of those listed, webinars and classes at the end of this presentation, but we do things like Jira administrative training, we do Jira Align training, we do Jira service management training. We do these publicly and privately. So if it's just you, a public class. If you want your whole team trained, a private class. We also do consulting. So we do things like implementations, implementing Jira Align, implementing advanced roadmaps, implementing custom solutions for workflow management for thousands of insurance agents, for example. We also do migrations, so cloud migrations. We do customizations. We also have a sister company called Oasis Digital that is a full stack development shop. So if we can't find it in the marketplace, we will build it for you as well. And we do that quite often. We do things like custom UIs for Jira, custom Jira service management portals, custom integrations, that sort of stuff. All right, let's talk about advanced roadmaps. So Jira Align was a very heavy tool, as you could see, a very effective, very heavy tool, and its price matches. Advanced roadmaps is included in most Atlassian products now. Its positioning and value is for growing agile organizations that need visibility, shared focus, and an accurate delivery. It provides for planning across multiple teams and Jira projects. It's designed to keep your stakeholders informed, to also, just like Jira Align, align work to higher level initiatives, and to communicate the bigger picture to teams. So again, this is something that is included in Data Center. It is also included in Cloud Premium and Cloud Enterprise. The key features of advanced roadmaps are a product level roadmap, better visualization of your work, capacity planning. There is an auto schedule in there, although I don't really use it that much. There's also much better dependency management than you'll find in regular Jira. New things that, new and coming, like I mentioned, it's now standard with Premium and Enterprise and Data Center. They recently improved the way that sprint management happens within the tool. They recently improved capacity management at the team level. It doesn't do individual level capacity, but it does do team level capacity. There's a Confluence macro where you can now embed a roadmap into a Confluence page, and there's a much better dependency map function. And they also recently just redid the UI a little bit in cloud. Unlike Jira Align, advanced roadmaps implementation goes much faster. So this only takes about 1 month for a pilot team. And basically what we do is, we used to do this on site, now we do it remotely, but we basically sit down and figure out what are the decisions that management is trying to make? What do they need to see those decisions? What are the processes that feed the data for that? And what is the Jira structure underneath collecting that data? And then we work backwards. We fix the Jira structure, we update the processes, we build the views, and then we confirm that people are able to make the appropriate decisions. And after that, people usually wind up expanding this tool to multiple teams and programs, either with our help or on their own. One of the big things I forgot to mention in the way we do services is whenever we implement, training is a big part of that. So we are building and implementing with our clients to leave them trained to manage their own things going forward. We don't want to keep anybody hooked on us. We want to teach and let go, I guess, is a good way to put it. All right, so a live demo of this tool. Let me come back to Chrome over here. There we go. All right, advanced roadmaps. So you can see that I am in a cloud demo instance, and you get to advanced roadmaps by coming across and then clicking on the desired plan. So again, this is not a whole separate tool. This is a new way in Jira to view data that already exists. And what I'm looking at here is one particular plan. This plan has filters of issue sources coming into it. In this situation, this plan is showing Team Alpha's Scrum board, Team Beta's Scrum board, Team Charlie's issues. Charlie is a Kanban team. It also has a scaled initiatives project and a scaled epics project. And so all of those data sources are coming into one plan. So if you have multiple teams and if you have your initiatives and your epics scattered across multiple places, this is the way to do it. So I've got those 3 teams coming in, and I can save different views, but let me talk first about just this particular view. What I can see here is I've got all of my epics. Oh, actually here, you know what? Let me go up a layer to a better view for you. Here we go. All right. So I'm looking at a hierarchy of initiative down through epic. So this is Jira Epic plus a layer above. When you use advanced roadmaps, you can define layers above Jira Epics. There's actually an infinite hierarchy, maybe not infinite, but more than you need going up from Epic. And so here I've chosen to see initiatives down through epics. I can also go all the way down to subtasks, but since I'm building a view for executive oversight right now, I just want to show those top 2 layers. I can also choose to filter down to what's important to me. So if I want to filter down to a certain product, or if I want to filter to certain projects of what my teams are working on, I could do that too. But again, this is an overall high-level view. And down here in this scope view, I see my high-level initiatives broken down into epics. Next, I see a target start and a target end date. I can actually choose any set of date fields in Jira to display this on. And way over here, I see those dates reflected on these bars over here in my timeline view. Then I see issue status. So again, these are all issues living in Jira being reflected in a new way. I've got a WSGIF column here. I actually have a WSGIF calculation screen here where I can add in things like job duration, risk performance, and I built an automation within Jira that will then automatically calculate WSGIF for this. But we're not going to do that right now. So I've got my WSGIF. I've got a swag field, so I can swag all of my epics and all of my initiatives here. I've got a product field, so I can tag all of those appropriately. I've got an MVP field. These are all custom fields that I've added into Jira onto these issues. I can mark MVP so I can have that discussion when I'm reviewing the roadmap. Yes, we want to do this. No, we're not doing it, and this is why. I also have this progress roll-up. This is looking at immediate children. So this initiative 2, all of its children are 14% done, 71% in progress, 14% still left to do. I can also add labels and stuff to this too. And then over here again, I've got this timeline view, and I can drag and drop if I want to over here, or I can adjust the same information over here with these fields. It's a lot so far. I hope you're tracking with me. I love this view. I think this is a super useful tool. The other thing I can do is I can modify the view settings. So I can color by different things. I can color by label. And so actually here I can show, red, yellow, green if I'm presenting things at a high level. And I just added labels to those issues called red, and then I mapped the red color to the red label. I also have I can sort by different amounts. So maybe you want to sort by WSGIF or by your swag field instead. We can group by different functions. I can show dependencies in different ways. I'm going to show dependencies on my next view. And then I can choose to roll up dates and choose to roll up other things as well. Actually, you can see here, let me go back to the status. That's a nicer view. You can see here these sort of barber pole striped roadmap bars. This is representing that this item does not have a set date, but it is getting its dates from its children items at their most extreme values. All right, so that's one view. I've got a couple more views to show you. So from the same plan and the same data source, now I want to go down a layer and do epic planning. And so here, my hierarchy is epic down to story. And I've chosen other field or a different set of fields to show. So right now I'm showing epics, and those epics break down into stories, as we said. Then I've got its parent initiative right here. I still have target, start and end dates, and status, WSGIF, swag, but this time I've got a story points field, and I can see the stories on these epics rolling up into a story point count. And then I can compare that count to my swag field to see my estimate versus my actual. I also have fields where I can define incoming and outgoing dependencies if I want, and I've got releases. Speaking of dependencies over here, we can see that I have a dependency from this issue to this issue, and they are sequenced incorrectly. And so what I need to do is I can either drag and drop and fix that dependency, or really what I should be doing is changing the sprints in which these issues are being completed. I can change the sprints in my next view when I go down to solve that. But speaking of that dependency, let me go to the dependency view. This is the dependencies report, and what I have here, here's that red dependency, but I can effectively see a critical path mapped out through my blocked by dependency types. And in the plan, you can choose which issue links show up in here. In this case, it's just blocks. And if there's a sequencing problem, it'll turn red. So I love this view. I can also group it by the delivery team. So I can see that Team Alpha has a big dependency on Team Charlie, which is enabling so much work later on. And so we really want to make sure that Alpha 12 and Charlie 38 are appropriately sequenced before we go forward. All right, down to my capacity planning view. This is the same data, the same plan, but this time I have chosen to group by team and then also show capacity on my timeline. So here I've got Alpha team, and these are all of my upcoming sprints and the load within those sprints. And if I click on one of these, I can see that, oh, wow, they just improved this recently. I can see that I've got 26 out of 30 points allocated. This is a future sprint. I can change this specific sprint's capacity if I need to versus the overall capacity of my team. And then I can even break this stuff down into status. This is brand new. I haven't seen this before. Apparently epic, type of work, and capacity. This is great. I really like this. I can, of course, also expand this team and look at the work. So we can see that sprint 1 actually has a problem. I am 3 points over allocated. So what I want to do is I want to move this item into sprint 2. And when I do, we see that sprint 1 is now at the appropriate capacity. This is also where I can fix my dependencies. This one should be delivered in sprint 3, and this guy should really be delivered in sprint 2. And now I have resolved that particular dependency. All right, in addition to these different views that I've made, I can save these views. And once I have a view that I like, what I like to do is share that view with my stakeholders. So, and they just redid the UI, so I got to find out where that is. Hold on. Well, first of all, let me get to a view that I want to share. And there we go, share as. Okay, it used to be over here. So I can choose to share this as a link, and if I open that link in a new tab, it's just a read-only view. This has to be viewed by a user that has rights to see this data in Jira. Advanced Roadmaps still respects all of the view restrictions of Jira projects. But in this view, I can sort and I can make all these, view adjustments. I can filter down to what I want, but I can't actually change any of the data here. So it's this nice read-only view. I can also embed this in an iframe. I can export as a CSV, or my favorite thing, I can drop this as a link into a Confluence page. I think this is huge, or at least very important. So for example, let me just go to this sample space. This is a sample engagement dashboard that we use when we work with clients for reporting. And when we're working on a project, we can drop the project's roadmap into the Confluence page down here. And we can add all of this context around it within the Confluence page to show people where we are. But I've got this nice interactive view here. Again, read only, but my stakeholders can see in a Confluence page where we are. All right, other things we can do. There is an auto schedule feature. This is best used at the team level, and it will look at dependencies and capacity and allocated teams and releases and all of this stuff, and it will schedule things appropriately for those teams. And then you have a chance to review those changes before it's saved. Something else I've got to show is there is a release functionality on this timeline, and I can highlight releases. This one is red because there are things assigned to that release that are happening after the release date. And so once I move all of that, the release will go green. Additionally, I can choose to show warnings or not. And something neat about the warnings and the saved views and the sharing is when I share a view, it is exactly the view that I have saved over here or modified. And in some of those views, I can choose to hide warnings about sequencing problems and stuff like that, so that when I'm looking when I'm presenting to my stakeholders, they're not going to see the warnings; they're just going to see the content. All right, two more neat features in this. First of all the changes that I've made, you see that these little changes are in green here, and all of my sequencing changes down at the story level, those are also showing up in green somewhere. Yeah, here we go, down here, flagged as green. I can choose to push those changes now if I like those changes. So everything that I've been doing has been in a sandbox so far. And once I'm ready to push it, I can push those selected changes to Jira. But those changes were in green, and that's my best case scenario. I can create multiple scenarios, and I can make changes, let's say, in this worst case scenario. All of these changes are going to be in red, matching the color of the scenario. And now I can choose which of these two scenarios I want to push back to the teams once we're done deciding on which direction to take. So all really, really useful features, and I'm a big fan of this tool. It's right there in Jira. It's already included. It does team level capacity. If you have any questions about it, I'm more than happy to answer them. Hopefully this has been a pretty good explanation of what's available. All right, let's come back to the presentation and wrap up. All right, so before I close, I wanted to say thank you very much for coming. I hope you found this presentation to be of value. We're going to do QA in a minute, but I just want to say, in case you have to go now, that I really hope that you like these tools. If you have any questions about them, please feel free to reach out, brian.dar@xbm.com, or you can also stalk me on LinkedIn and message me there. And before I go, I want to talk about some of our other upcoming webinars. Today was Introduction to Portfolio Management in Jira. We're going to have a more in-depth Jira Align presentation next week on Thursday, same time. We also have a presentation about successful Atlassian cloud migration. If you're on server, you have to go to either data center or cloud because server is going to be end of life in about, I think, 2 more years. So this is a good way just to learn about the implications of that and how to navigate that. We have a webinar on Atlassian governance. Atlassian for business teams, that's one of my webinars. That's where I show a lot of tools within Confluence and Jira to manage business problems, not necessarily software development related, but like HR and marketing, things like that. We also have a full-on interactive workshop for planning your Atlassian cloud migration. So if you know that you're migrating and if you want to come in and get a deliverable playbook out of that, this is a great event. You can find out more at xbm.com. We also have an Introduction to Confluence webinar, and then we have a couple paid classes like Jira Bootcamp and Confluence Bootcamp. Also, if you're into ITSM or service management, we've got webinars around that, and then the whole cycle repeats. So that's the end of all of that. Thank you for coming, and now I'm going to do QA. All right, capacity management is done using points. What if you are using Kanban? That's a great question. So if I come back over here, so yeah, you still have to mark the team's capacity somehow. So in the case of Kanban, if I come down to my team adjustment, Charlie team is a Kanban team, and here, well, they should be, now they are. I'd have to modify the plan to do that. But basically, I would update their status to Kanban, add the members. You still have to have some sort of value. In this situation, it's going to be story points. But basically, you have to choose a numeric field in Jira against which to show demand versus the capacity of the team. But then when you show it, let me show capacity. It shows up here. That's interesting. Somebody modified my demo. Anyway, it doesn't go in sprints. It goes by weeks. If you're doing yes, hours. Sorry, that's the one. Yeah. Thank you for saying that. Yes, it takes the remaining estimate field within Jira, and it applies those hours to specific week chunks here. I'm not sure what happened. This really should be in weeks for this demo, but yeah, that's how it works. Hours against weekly increments. Any other questions? Well, hopefully everything was answered then. Again, if you have any questions, or if you want to follow up or just say, hi, I enjoyed this, please send me email, stop by on LinkedIn. But otherwise, thank you very much for your kind attention. I hope you found this very valuable, and we'll see you maybe at the next webinar. Thanks again, everybody.